to talk about something that I don't think should be controversial, but it is kind of. But if you've been around here, you may notice that my backdrop's different. That's because I'm actually having to reorganize my house. One of my dogs is getting older, can't climb up the stairs. So we're moving our bedroom downstairs, which means my office has come upstairs. And so this is kind of in the works. Still going to work on some artwork, make my backdrop a little bit better, but that's what's going on if you know me. But I want to jump in today to talk about an issue that's been reiterated to me again and again and again. And that is that an email list, an engaged list of email subscribers is the most valuable asset in your business. And this came up to me because there was a change in Facebook's Messenger platform that was announced last week that kind of reiterates and proves this again. And let me give you some backdrop here, and let me give you some background on why I'm talking about this and why this announcement matters. So for a long time in the online space, and I say for a long time, I'm talking about probably 2 years now or thereabouts, a lot of people have been talking about Facebook Messenger bots and how Facebook Messenger bots are the greatest thing and how they're going to replace email and they're going to make email obsolete and all of those things. And the statistics they cite to often sound great. So they talk about like 80% and 90% open rates and 10 and 15% click-through rates and things like that. I'll tell you, those stats, in my view, have always been a bit misleading. And the reason why I say they're misleading is because in reality, yes, 80 to 90% of people will open your message, but that's because most of us don't know how to delete a message or get it out of our system without opening it. So we open it. But that doesn't mean we actually read it. That doesn't mean we actually engage with it. That doesn't mean we actually want to see it. It just means that a lot of people are not yet to the point that they know how to simply delete a message without reading it. So yes, you have higher open rates. Now, the click-through rates, here's the other thing that a lot of people won't tell you, especially the bot builders, is the way you have to do a bot, like when you send a first message out to your list, it can't be promotional. And so you send out a question. You'll ask just a random question, and someone has to say yes or no, click a button, or respond in some way, or you can't then go on and send them the next message. And so a lot of people are reporting that first click. But that first click, I don't want to say doesn't matter, but it largely doesn't matter because that's not taking someone to your website. That's not giving it an opt-in. That's not doing any of that. That is just basically them saying, okay, you can send me another message. I'll tell you, I had messed with bots a while back, and last week I tried it again, ironically, the day I think that Facebook made this announcement, but I tried it again by asking this question, and I got a decent click-through rate on the first one, but what I'll tell you is the actual click-through rate, the point of the message was to get people to go check out my podcast. The actual rate of click-through to my website was considerably lower than my email list was. And considerably. I'm not talking about just a little bit. I think it was like 10 times lower or something ridiculously different. So again, I have never been a huge believer that Facebook bots are the answer, but a lot of people talk about it. But last week, Facebook made an announcement which is going to shift things, and it's going to yet again prove the lessons that the people have been talking about, the people who talk about email lists have been talking about for years. Facebook has made a change. So right now, the way that people in the space, in the online space, generally use Messenger, there's a few different things. Like you can still use it to invite people or remind people about a webinar and do things like that. That's fine. And there's some complicated rules about promotional stuff, etc. But the traditional way that people were using it was either, let's say, get people to try to listen to a podcast or invite people to join your launch. So invite people to a webinar, invite people to a video series, etc. Do something like that. And the problem is that's non-promotional at the beginning. So you basically ask one of these questions, try to get people to respond, then go through a series and try to invite them at the end. Well, those are what are called broadcast messages. Well, guess what? Facebook announced last week that broadcast messages are going to be no more come July 1st. At that point, you will have to use sponsored messages. In other words, I'm going to have to pay to actually get my message seen by people that first time. And ironically, with a sponsored message, I don't have to do that thing of asking a question first. I can go straight to a promotional message. And again, maybe it's 2 cents, maybe it's 3 cents. It's not going to be crazy expensive to send those messages out. But all these people who've spent all of this time and all of this money building a bot list, meaning trying to get tens of thousands of people subscribed to their bot, well, come July 1st, they're going to have to pay to actually send messages to those people. And so the yet again proves why an email list is different. No one can require me to pay them to send a message to my email list. Yes, I have to have an email service provider, but no one can change the rules on me, take away my ability to send messages to my email list. And so that's a critical difference. And again, I want to talk about this open rate thing, because a lot of people focus on that, and I think you're focusing on the wrong thing. So last week, and I've started doing this, I send out a Tuesday email to my list telling them about my podcast, and then anyone who doesn't open it by Friday, I resend another message to them to try to get them to open it. And so now I track what is the open rate of the two combined. In other words, of the first number that I send, how many people ultimately open, what percentage? Last week, last I checked, I was at like 34% or thereabouts between the two emails, which isn't too bad. And some people might say, well, yeah, but there's 66% of your audience who didn't hear from you. And I say, yeah, that's true. But the reality is, I don't focus on the 60% of people who don't open my emails. I focus on the 30%. If I can engage with 33 to 34% of my list and talk to them in a way that they enjoy, that engages, that creates a connection, that is good enough. I mean, it's the whole thing. I had a podcast episode a few weeks back, or maybe it was a month ago or a little over a month ago, about the 80-20 rule. And it's the concept that 20% of your effort is going to result in 80% of the kind of goodness. Well, the same thing with your list. 20% of your list is where your revenue is going to come from. And that's going to be true even on Messenger. So even if you were using a Messenger bot, even if you get more people to do all these things, ultimately, at the end of the day, the number of people who are actually going to buy from you, going to matter, et cetera, is going to be small. And so I focus on them. And yet, so people ask me this question, are you okay only reaching 30% of your list? I say, yeah, from week to week, I'm fine with that. That doesn't bother me at all. The reality is the people who are consistently opening my emails, who open, on a regular basis every week, or maybe they miss a week, but the ones who basically are there every single week, those are the people who are going to make or break my business. And the same is true with you. At the end of the day, it's those people. It is your Uber fans. It is the people who really are going to show up for you, who want to hear what you have to say, and who will become fans, and then will become kind of your, informal marketing army, because they're going to go out and talk to you about other people, talk about you to other people, going to talk about why people should listen to you, why people should buy from you, etc. Those people are the people that matter. And those people are in the 20% who are opening your emails. So don't worry about the other 80% if that's where you are. In my case, like I said, it's about 65% week to week don't open either one of my two emails. And I don't worry about them. So that's my, the takeaway for today is email to me is still king. You can reach the people who matter. And ultimately what you need to do is work on engaging with your list. Make sure you send regular emails to them so they expect it. Make sure those emails are entertaining. Make sure that you're actually doing things and sending information that people want. If you do that, your email list will be so valuable. At the end of the day, you're going to be able to make plenty of money off of your email list, and that will be the key driver to your success. So keep building the list, keep engaging with the list, and keep building kind of a sense of connection with people on your list, and you will be successful. That's it for now. I'll talk to you later.